entertainment purposes only. Mostly my thoughts, commentary, opinions. I'm sorry I don't take the effort to cite or share my sources of the stats and the facts that I do share with you. I would make more of an effort to do that as time goes on, especially when I'm screen sharing. Like one day, if you stick with me, we'll be doing lives like this, and I will do Streamlabs or some one of those and show you the sites and the sources, and we can view the fun bar graphs and pie graphs together. Hey, Mr. Carey, how are you doing tonight? So I just wanted to say that, like, I would appreciate everybody being kind as possible. This is, I didn't want to say FUND razor because I know that the rules for those with YouTube, I don't know the rules when it comes to YouTube with those. I just know that they can be a little tricky. But we're going to start off tonight's live with the topic of the cost of living crisis, and we would like to bring some attention to situation with Mr. Carey. He has a Cash App that I put in the description. Mr. Carey will share the Cash App handle with you all as the chat goes on. His family is in some need right now, and he said he's stressed but hanging out. Hope you are doing well. I'm okay. I I'm not doing great though, honestly. But I had a hard week at work. They can't all be great, right? Sometimes they're going to be shit. And so I want to talk about the cost of living crisis in honor of Mr. Carey, his family, all the people who are struggling, which is, let's be real, most of us now, most of us are struggling. And part of being able to overcome the crises most of us are enduring is to be able to share with each other and just be honest. And we need to quit putting up a front that most of us aren't living paycheck to paycheck. Most of us don't have savings. Most of us are one medical crisis, one car repair, one lost paycheck away from being homeless or close to homeless ourselves. I know that there are so many more statistics that I could get into than the ones that I'm sharing now. To be perfectly frank, I was in a lot of pain after working extra hard. Like usually we make X amount of parts. We made double those amount of parts, so we didn't have to work Monday. Personally, I would rather work half as hard and work an extra day and make the overtime money. But like everybody else on the line, they'd rather like work their butts off in order to not have to work an overtime day. So here we are. Mr. Carey said it was absolutely unexpected. So there are like so many factors that could play into it. I'm not going into Mr. Carey's story in detail. He can say whatever details he wants to share, but I'm saying like in general, there are so many reasons. And yeah, it's like it's not hard to get yourself into a hole. A lot of people are right now, and we need to be honest with ourselves and each other and show each other some grace because that's part of the issue. It's hard to reach out and ask for help when there's so much going against you and you feel like you're going to get shamed for something. Oh, tell Isaiah that I said he's welcome, and that I hope this helps. If I had excess money, a disposable income, I would definitely be donating to y'all myself. I would rather work for what I am paid to do more, no more, no less. If you want to work less, and you are worth less. Yeah, the like button. I was telling people, I'm like, we get paid the same amount each hour. Why are we making twice as many parts? Explain it to me. But I guess I'm the only one that has like arthritic symptoms the day after, stuff like that. Hi, HK. Hi, man in the box. And let's start talking about like when you really look into the numbers. I think most of us know from existing in this realm that like things are worse. They're getting progressively worse, especially since the year 2020. Although they were like that on a downward trajectory for decades, especially I would say about since the 1980s. Some people say we hit our peak when it comes to wages in the 50s. Regardless, all of us right here, right now, we are suffering under the weight of late stage capitalism, in my opinion. Once again, these are like my commentary, my opinion. And if you want to check any of these, I really do try when I put down like a statistic, a percentage, like I double check it. But I'm not going to share the sites on a live like this. Live like this. I said life. Hi, Doughface. People just got lazier, wanting more. The like button. I do think, okay, the having so much convenience has played into the kind of attitude you're talking about, but like the wage stagnation and the cost of living rising in every single way, it has simply made it impossible for some people. And I'll share an example with you that like shows this clearly. Consistent hard work used to be all it needed here in this country, especially in the US. You just worked a full time job. It could be minimum wage. There wasn't this attitude, even though I wasn't alive then, like in the 70s, where, oh, burger flipping jobs are just for teenagers, because anybody that worked and had a good work ethic and worked consistently could afford to live. Because in 1980, the average rent was $243 a month. Minimum wage was $3.10 an hour. This made for $496 a month in wages, meaning you spent 49% of your income on that $243 rent, right? In the year 2024, the average, minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, giving you $1,160 a month. But guess how much the rent is? $1,747. It's impossible to rent an average, think this is one bedroom apartment, on a minimum wage. Literally impossible. It used to be possible. This is where the problem lies. Yes, there's some people have a problem with delayed gratification. People don't work as hard overall. I think what came first, the chicken or the egg? I think a lot of people don't work as hard as they used to because they have nothing to look forward to, because everything costs so much because of the wealth gap widening. It's simply so people at the top can make more. Daycare costs like 50% more than it did 5 years ago. That is absolutely ridiculous. The daycare workers aren't making 50% more. They don't make enough. They don't make as much as they should raising other people's children part-time. And it's the people that own the daycares, they're the ones making them. That's a problem. And because everybody wants to like hold hands and be a rich person with the rich people, siphoning everything off of us. They don't want to like point their fingers at them at the problem. And plus you get called like a communist and a socialist, and you have all these assumptions made about you because you point out the actual problems. Healthcare costs so much because the people at the top, the administrative people that don't even really participate in the actual healthcare, are making way more than like the doctors. Maybe not surgeons. I know surgeons, and once again, I think surgeons should make more money than most other people because I want my loved ones to have a good surgeon. I value life-saving medical care. But the people who are, calling all the shots to make these art gallery hospitals, like, oh my gosh, the way our healthcare is set up is one day we'll look back at it as a criminal system, in my opinion. They'll be like, oh my gosh, in the 1900s, late 1900s and early 2000s, they literally had this like criminal system set up for their healthcare. It was criminal. I'm sorry that I haven't been answering any comments. I promise once I get through the majority of my notes, I will. I do this so the people that rewatch the lives, which aren't nearly as many as those of you joining me live, will, not have to sift through so much of me like saying hi and everything. So in the last 4 years, the average mortgage payment has doubled. That's just in 4 years. It has doubled in 4 years. That is insane. This is unsustainable. None of us can keep up with this. Nobody but the richest of the rich. Even the people that we used to consider rich, like the upper middle class, even like upper, like officially rich people, like, I would consider that like 500,000 up or 400,000 up. Like, you have to be that rich in order to be considered rich. Like 100, 200, 300,000 is no longer very well off. In most cities where you're able to even make that much, you're just getting by on that. And that's like for a family. You need a good $100,000 for one person to live in a lot of situations. And like here in South Central Kentucky, it is not like that at all. But not everybody wants to live in a place like South Central Kentucky where the healthcare isn't the best, the opportunities aren't the best, the jobs aren't the best. And like people might wonder, well, why do you want to live there? Because if I have to work to survive, if all of my money is going to just paying the bills and food and healthcare for my family, then I want to live in a place that's pretty to look at, And we couldn't afford to stay in South Florida. We literally couldn't afford anything but a single wide and a retirement community when it was time for us to buy our first home. And this was almost 10 years ago, way before the insurance crisis. Anyways. And food costs have risen 23.6% in 4 years, from the year 2020 to the year 2024, just in 4 years, 23.6%. I think that a lot of us were so traumatized by the mass psychosis caused by the up and down, all the things that have been happening to us. And we really sit back and think about everything that happened in the last 5 to 6 years. It really is wild what so many people have been through. And after 911, CAN-CER rates skyrocketed because of the stress people were under from 911. Don't tell me that what we went through with the 2019, 2020 stuff, you know what I mean? Stay 6 feet away from people. Don't tell me that wasn't traumatizing on the same level, to, if not anything, to like even more people. I mean, I'm not trying to compare, but I think that's another reason why that they did it to us and we stuck our heads in the sand. Like we can't keep up with this. Like we simply can't. Transportation in 1 year, 2023 to 2024, 1 year, car insurance went up 26%. What gives? In 4 years, from 2020 to 2024, new cars rose $11,000 from about 38,000 to 49,000. That is crazy. I believe that was for a new Honda Accord. And it's just unfathomable. Like this can't keep going on. You can't squeeze blood from a turnip. At what point are they going to be like, okay, yeah, we can't keep siphoning from them anymore? Used cars have also increased in price because that's the way, supply and demand works. 49% of credit card holders are paying month to month. It's in an all-time high, like the credit card debt we have taken out. And they'll take that on the news and try to like misconstrue that and make it look like a good thing. That like the consumer spending is at an all-time high. No, consumer debt is at an all-time high. And that is horrible when you can't stay, when you're making the minimum monthly payments, and especially if you have a larger credit card balance, that interest is going to eat you alive. And we need to acknowledge how criminal the interest rates are on everything too. That plays into the expense with cars a lot too. Education is only getting more expensive. And we take it back. I should have put this with the cost of the apartment. College graduates are now paying as much of their income. I'm sorry. Yeah, as much of their income for an apartment than a wage earner did in 1980. That's a minimum wage earner. 49% of a minimum wage earner's income was spent on housing in 1980. Now you have to have a bachelor's degree and make $24 an hour to afford that same rental comparatively. It's I would like to show visuals. Like I said earlier, I would love to screen share. I'm hoping by the end of the year, I'll have the internet and the computer set up, and these will be so much more interactive and fun. And I definitely want to share more sites and sources with you all. But we need to put this into perspective. You need to explain the same thing in 10 different ways in order to teach a bunch of people, right? And I'm the same way. Like I need the same thing explained in 10 ways. And that reiteration of it often really helps. Like this attitude of like just work harder, you're spending too much money on Starbucks. Yes, two things can be true at once. Like maybe you should work harder, maybe you should spend less on frivolous things, but that's not the root of the problem here. And it's a lot easier to spend your whole paycheck on frivolous things to make yourself feel better about how hard you work than it is to not. Like these conversations also should be continued to have, with everybody that you love, like your children. And I'm so sorry I'm not paying attention to the chat. I am really almost through this part of my notes. I do have some other stuff, but I'm going to like stop and talk to you guys for a minute after this subject is done. In my opinion, they train women from birth to be more consumers. And I know like we're more consumeristic by nature, like us just wanting to like flaunt our beauty, play with our beauty. Like it's not just for the male gaze, it's for like our own. It's just fun. It's fun as a woman. It's fun to do your hair. It's fun to do your makeup. And the nature of our anatomy, we're going to spend more money on our anatomy over the course of our lifetimes, regardless. But as a mother that's raised 3 children, 3 boys, every time I go to buy them something, there's like sometimes, I'm not kidding, like 10 times more of the same item and 10 different things for the girls. They've got like 3 pairs of sandals for boys when it comes to sandals. Then they've got like 20 kinds of sandals for girls, all sorts of cute stuff. And I always used to say, yeah, we would go into a lot more debt if we had 3 girls. It's like the clothes for girls. I swear they do it on purpose. They give all these like more girlier options. And I think it's sick and it's wasteful. And in a time when the planet is dying, like stuff like that needs to stop. We need to be able to live poorly. People need to be able to come from nothing and work their way up. When you literally can't afford an apartment on minimum wage, you can't be the poor college student that beat the odds and became a doctor. And that's what America is founded upon. We're taking away, like it's not possible, the American dream. And it's possible for some people in some aspects, but it used to be so much easier to climb up the economic ladder. It's not anymore. You have to know somebody often. You have to have some nepotism going on in order to network and get in good anywhere, even with a good college degree nowadays. I already said daycare rose 51% in the same time period of that 2020 to 2024. And get this statistic, you guys. This killed me. The median home buyer in 2007 was born in 1968. Guess what year the median home buyer was born in the year 2024? 1968. It's these same people, and they're buying like investment properties. They're buying all the properties that we can't buy because they got to enjoy the best economy that our country ever had and probably ever will have. Knock on wood, because you never know, right? But that is absolutely ridiculous. And so, same people looking at us, pointing the finger, why don't you have more? I worked hard. All you need to do is work hard like me. But if you look at how way things have increased just in the last 4 or 5 years, because that's when it significantly started to affect my family. I used to make YouTube videos like how to survive off one income, how to homeschool off one income. And it 7 years ago, it was more possible. The way things have changed in half a decade is downright scary. And it's like so hard. We're in such survival mode that most of us, we don't have it in us to even have these conversations. And I don't blame people. Most days I don't either. Over the last 50 years, we have only produced more too. Like the wages stagnated after we started becoming more productive. And yes, a lot of that has to do with technology, but even so, it's still being more productive, producing more with our man hours, with our manpower, right? Okay, so I'm done with that part. I do want to talk about how that Republican called women host bodies soon, but I want to say hi to everybody in chat. And if there's something you really, hi Brian, see, I remember you. How are you doing? If there's anything you really want me to see, if I would appreciate it if you could rewrite it, if you have a question or a comment. If it's not a STEM degree, it's not worth the cost. JM said, right. And it's scary. They're putting a cap of $150,000 on student loans. So if you are going for like a really advanced medical degree, you basically can't do it unless you are connected to money. It's not right. I'm glad you're having a good day, Brian. So much homeless on the streets. You don't see that in Europe. Oh, that's interesting, SP. I never saw homeless people in certain small towns until the last 5 years, personally, over here. It was mostly something you only saw in big cities before then, in my opinion, and especially warmer places, obviously. Study accounting and get your CPA, almost guaranteed to be a multimillionaire. Larry, I'm so bad with numbers, but that is good advice for anybody that's good with math. I have definitely heard that about accounting. Um, Hi, Internet Planeta. I love you too. The system is rigged. If they will it, anyone with talent can go far, but if you don't get the green light from them, you can be a genius and you will not go anywhere. I agree with that, Kenny. I do agree with that. I have very few student loans, Vlad. My story with that is I forgot about them for 10 years. I know what you're gonna say, but like not you, Vlad, but like I genuinely forgot. It was $2,000 or $3,000 of student loans. They waited till they accrued so much interest, they were over $10,000 and like took all of our tax return one year. And I was like, oh shoot, I forgot. I took out a few thousand to make up for this little gap that was like after, because like when we got married, I actually had to like pay a little bit. So that's my story with that. They wait until, and maybe that's just a thing. They're not trying to get me necessarily, but they don't bother with it until it's 10,000. I don't know, but we would have definitely taken care of that if we would have known about that. And now it's still a thing. I still haven't taken care of it, but I keep telling myself like one day I'll have a chunk of money be able to pay it off because they took that one tax return. It's below 10,000 now. And I think that it's predatory to allow people with no income, people who are practically children, 18, 19, 20-year-old people. No offense to you. I think you can be very mature, but in the big scheme of things, the older you get, the more you see how predatory it is. And I don't understand why more people don't see that they could just walk in and sign up for a lifetime of debt that can't be forgiven in any way. I don't think that's right, that they ever allowed that to happen. Just agree. There's no good reason for the disparity and difficulty that exists today, Noah said. I agree. I worked with the homeless for so many years. I thought I was going to save the world, but I found that 90% of the homeless are not actually needed. Rocket, why? Are you talking about like rug addicts and stuff? I have somebody gave me a super chat, the Jackson fam. Thank you so much, Jackson fam. I can like it and heart it. Am I going to heart it? Thank you. I really appreciate that. Sincerely. I really, really appreciate it. And we've got Mr. Carey. Mr. Carey, share your Cash App. I don't know if you have yet. Mr. Carey has a family in need. Anybody that would like to donate to him during this live. I didn't want to entitle it an FUND raiser because I know that like the rules with those on YouTube can be very tricky. But the best way to donate to him is directly to his Cash App. Would really appreciate that. Just like so many people are struggling right now for the reasons I mentioned. Mr. Carey and his family are currently facing homelessness. Debt is a business for the wealthy. That isn't that true, West? So I signed up for like Aura, all these creators are giving the free codes. And like I signed up for I paid for it after the free trial, but it's like I get so many junk emails from Aura telling me about all the places they removed my information from that it's starting to get on my nerves. Isn't that funny? It is never ending. Just can't escape it. Hi, Jesus Saves. How are you? Yes, it appears the government always wins, Daniel said. Back in the day, although many people had different political views, we could still get along. Right, Caleb? Right? Like the Republicans and Democrats ate lunch and dinner together. And I always say, like, when I was in grade school, it wasn't polite for your teachers to share who they voted for. And now it's like teachers are so proud to stand on their soapbox. Like things like that, I don't think are polite, and we need to go back to that. Can you read a tarot to see which cryptos I should buy? I don't think this is that kind of live lucky Martin. Homelessness occurred everywhere since COVID. Right. I think there's always been that baseline of homeless people that were homeless because of their own choices. Let's be real. I know people are going to say that. It's undeniable now. You literally can't afford to live on a full-time job, and you once used to be able to do that. That alone is something we need to be able to get back to where we can, like, and they say, "Oh, there's no way they could afford to pay people more." They could afford to pay people more. They're just not gonna get their hundreds of thousands of dollars of wages themselves at the very, very top. I do, like, think, like I said earlier, like, six-figure wages, that's not insane. It's insane when, like, one person is making more than all the other people in the company combined, depending on what it is. There's always gonna be exceptions, and no, I'm not an expert when it comes to business financing, but I know that this whole economy is unsustainable, and I don't know if they've set it up this way to be like it was a slow burn at first, and then they knew the inevitable is gonna happen, so they're gonna get as much as they can. That's why all these things have gone up like 26% in a matter of half of a decade. Yes, thank you again, Jackson fam. That was really sweet. I haven't gotten a super chat in a while. Salute to Kentucky. Thank you, Jesus says. I personally think that the set age for adulthood should be 21, Carbon Cloud said. I agree with that. I definitely don't think 18 is appropriate for like any reason. Thanks, Muhammad. I got that background on Amazon. Oh, I can pin it. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, Mr. Carey. Let me find, that's such a good idea. I'm going to pin Mr. Carey's. Thank you for saying pin it. I don't think I've ever done that in a live before. So I pinned Mr. Carey's Cash App. Anybody that would like to donate to him and his family, it would be really be appreciated. I just got through talking about the cost of living. I want to do a live just focusing on the wage stagnation because that needs its own 15 to 20-minute discussion. It is so right in our face and blatant. Like, so I don't fault anybody for facing any kind of hard economic times. We would have been homeless like twice by now if we didn't have family to fall back on. And the more of us suffer, the less we're going to have, the less people we will have to turn to. And like it's like once you get help from somebody once or like how many times do you keep going back for help? How many times can they literally even be able to help you? A lot of times we're all in the same boat. If you're lucky enough, to have that kind of family, which I know a lot of people don't, and that is very unfortunate. You can say pickup lines if you want to, Gamer Boy, as long as they're like, appropriate. I'm a European and it's great and cheap here. Where exactly, Carlo, if you don't mind me asking? My grandpa was from Switzerland. Oh, you're in Pennsylvania, Jeff? That's nice. How are you doing? I do listen to old school Michael Jackson sometimes because I was born in 1987. So I have mixed feelings about him though. Mr. Carey said, my wife and I are both disabled and not able to work. And that's another thing. It's like so many people that bring up people that are on welfare or disability or get any kind of help from anything, like they're the problem when they literally take like a percent or less of your tax dollars. Meanwhile, a huge chunk is going towards the rich people that we all want to emulate and like try to act like are good people just to be able to not suffer from cognitive dissonance and just be depressed by the reality of our situation. There is this, of course, there's got to be the one sidekick fruit fly because of my ring lights. All the companies took over the essentials needs for everyone. They are in big collective stocks now, like Dow. You hear on the news every day, and they must go up every year, right, Dutch? I'm in the US, year. I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing that right, I'm sure. Hi, Mohammed. Hi. Oh, you're in Austria and Croatia. Oh, that's well, good for you. I'm glad that there's still I do think that there's still countries out there that like care about their people. I faced a health issue, 10 years of cancerous lesions on my cervix, and I found this product from Italy called Papillocare because where they have socialized medicine, they don't want to let it turn into advanced cancer. Like here, I had four doctors tell me just let it turn into advanced cancer before we do anything to really remedy it, meaning take it out, give me a hysterectomy. I was begging for it. And I had to go to several doctors to finally have one tell me, okay. And I really do genuinely think the more I look at it, it was like my good health insurance from my job where my factory subsidizes our health insurance. I could not afford this health insurance if my factory didn't give me 15-year-old premiums. I pay what people did 15 years ago. And like, that is such a blessing, but it's an unsustainable job for me, guys. I can't keep doing this another year, 2, 5, 10. I don't think so. Cause like I had extreme arthritic pain in my hands after working extra hard for 2 days. And like, I need to go back to school, but what am I going to do? Because anything that I am interested in, the student loans, the debt I would get into getting the degrees wouldn't be worth it because the income's all like $30,000 a year. There's nothing wrong with making $30,000 a year either. I want to make that clear. It's wrong because everything's set up for everything to be way too expensive. Oh, emerging fire. Thank you so much. May all the blessings and prayers from your family and friends be with you and protect you. Always stay safe, healthy, blessed too. Emerging fire 1515. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I can't believe that. I don't know what currency that is, but 100 of anything sounds good to me. Right. I really appreciate you. I have something held in for review. Oh, definitely hiding that again. As a veteran, let me say seriously, the whole idea of America is people helping people. Nobody should ever be ashamed to ask for help. Rocket White said, thank you. Yes, right. And that's something that's so precious that a lot of us are enticed by, like living off the land, living self-sustainably, communities like the Amish that I've spoken a lot about, right? There's good and bad people everywhere, but we kind of like idealize this lifestyle. I think it does make you a better person. I think there probably do tend to be more good people that like live self-sustainably and off the land. However, that does not mean that they're all good people, right? But there is so many comments I want to, okay. Watching you from Ghana. That's so neat, Dega. I hope I'm saying that right. I like to watch people in Africa. Akech Joy Winnie, do you know who that is? I love watching her videos. I forget where she's at exactly. Inflation comes from companies trying to boost stock every year, Dutch said. Thanks, Mohammed. What's your European ancestry? Optimistic flashlight said. I have some, oh my gosh, it's escaping me right now. What's the country that's not Brazil? Portuguese from both sides of my family way back, which is interesting. And I'm 25% Colombian, which I don't know how much of that is native, how much of that is Spanish, and 25% Swiss, German Swiss. Mr. Carey said, we have 3 kids, just had my daughter counselor give me some resources for a vehicle broke down. We have no car. Right. They're out of a car. They don't have a place to live. My favorite pickup line is, hey, do I have to pick up this bag of cement by myself? That's another thing that I want to talk more about on my channel is alternative forms of housing. And like, it's easy when you have a chunk of money. When you really need to find the alternative forms of housing and secure it, it's like, that's when it's the hardest. More people that have money need to also have a heart and like, they could still make a profit and like I've seen people make little campground situations around here. Make 3, 5, 10 RV pads, put in some septic, some electric poles. That's really not that much money. It's really not. You know who could have done it? You know where. You know what I'm talking about over there. Could have easily made it so people that had a van or an RV or even a car were like had have a little bathhouse with like some fresh water and showers. Like that would be so easy to set up. If I'm not just saying this to sound like a saint. If I like, yeah, I mean it. Like sub to me and follow and see if it ever happens. If I ever make good YouTube money, I would love to make communities like that to help people. Like it absolutely kills me what's going on with like van lifers and people that live out of their cars and stuff. They are only having more legislation made against them, and it's like, as more of us are gonna have to turn towards that way of life out of necessity, they're making it illegal. It's not right, and we all need to stand up for them because it could be us tomorrow or the next year. Kasra said, "You guys deserve more." I wish you could move to Europe, Carlos said. Yeah, if we had a lot of money and I could immigrate to Switzerland easier, especially Switzerland. I know they've got their faults, but overall, it sounds like a great place to live to me. You don't need to go into massive debt to food. Vocational school mentally. Yes, good point. That is a good point. However, there's nothing that me personally like. Look, I have risks of like a 5-year-old. I don't think I could do anything like HVAC, electrician, but that is very good advice for people who are a little bit stronger than me and physically more capable. Shout out to 502, some of my best memories. Storm and Norman said, I'm from Louisville. Louisville is such a great city. But as so many of our other cities, it's sad what has happened. Good morning, MK. You are glowing like sun. Have a bright and beautiful day. Thank you so much. That's sweet. Hi, Chavez. Hi, Tornado Dude. How are you? And Jared. I don't know what you mean by that, Jared. Yes, there's so many it's always the greedy people that are ruining it for the rest of us. Like I was talking about the daycare earlier, like people don't wanna like I'll say it. You're greedy if you own a daycare and you're charging people $1,000, $2,000 a month for care of their children and then paying these girls like $12 an hour. You're greedy. How do you sleep at night? I literally couldn't do that. I wouldn't be a good business owner because I'm not greedy enough. I don't have it in my heart to be cutthroat enough to like take the way that a lot of them do. Not all of them. Our country is set up for business owners for good reason because ideally, I think that is a nice vocation to have, right? If you had your kids set up to where they could run the family business or start their own successful business, be their own boss, a lot of us would like that. A lot of us don't want that. I like being able to clock into my factory, make my money, clock out, not have to take my work with me except for my arthritic joints. But like that's not forever either. I don't want that forever. Yeah, ideally I would have something where I'm making money at home on our farm, like a CSA, a flower farm, herbal farm, tinctures, even like a little wellness hut where I actually help people, not giving medical advice, but just like maybe recommending things they might like. And that would be a dream come true. Thank you, King James. That's really sweet. Neon, don't tell it. Nobody, I'm homeless. Why are we not talking about the political and economic state of the world? Oh, fat. We were. We kind of are still. I play an expensive instrument. Oh, well, I hope you can still afford to keep that up because having a hobby like playing an instrument, I think, hi, Anthony, must be like so healthy and helpful for you. And I encourage a lot of people, especially when you're suffering from something mentally, like that people might, oh, just get a hobby. But making art, making music, we need beauty and comedy to survive this life. Could you imagine this life without beauty or comedy? Like they're both universal things that everybody needs and everybody thrives off of. Everybody thrives off of the beauty that is in nature and that is in art. And playing music is so special. And getting in a group with people and playing music together is so special. And I'm glad I got to experience that. Kayshawn said you're very pretty and I'm from Kentucky as well. That's nice, Kayshawn. Thank you. Hi, Anthony. How are you, Anthony? Goop said inflation comes from stocks. LOL, Dutch. Yes, a lot of people say it's like printing money mostly. I think there's several factors that have played into things like a domino effect. You know, they one affects the other, makes things worse. At least the government can get the land it needs and whatever else they seem to want. Yeah. Um, oh, Kaylinda. My grandma used to say that to me, Lucas. Saludos desde Argentina. Oh, that's nice. K and J, is the admin pinning his Venmo in chat? So it's that is for his Cash App, right? Or is that Venmo? And yes, Mr. Carey and his family, we're asking for anybody that can and wants to donate to a family to help out to donate to that Cash App that is pinned. Recently, my father passed away. Now me and my mom managing the house and expenses, emerging fire said, I'm sorry to hear that. That must be very difficult to go through that transition on top of rough economic times. I'm really sorry. And I hope things get better for you guys. I thought you might take my name. I am disappointed I could not impress you. My bad. I don't know what you mean, MK. Do you know what Like the internet, Jonathan? Mm, my sister wants me to help her build a compound and has the same idea about having SLAVES as you. What do you mean by that, Neon? I don't know what you mean by that because I don't think that anybody should have SLAVES. Hi, Christian. Hi, Renisha. Right now I'm getting ready to talk. I think we've came to a good point soon. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was so far behind. You guys, I love having people in the chat and I really don't want people to feel ignored. Hi, Jesus. How are you? Jesus. Dog daycare is 500 a month. I'm sure daycare insurance is crazy and the business needs to make money. Okay, D2, that is a good point. Like it, but I don't think the insurance rose in the same amount that would correlate to how it jumped in 50% cost, you know? And if that is the case, if it is from insurance, because I know there's been a lot of, like with the Florida hurricanes, insurance companies have dropped a lot of homeowners. If that's the case, people need to start legislation against these insurance companies. It's like, once again, it's just unsustainable. And now they're like boohooing about the birth rates. And that's, I'm getting ready to talk about this host body thing. We'll talk about that. Remember when a man could have a job, a house, multiple children, and a wife at home, right? And a car and a vacation home, and it'd all be fine. That's what I'm saying. That uh, I talked about how comparatively, like a rental was $243 in 1980, and now the same rental would be $1,747, and you simply can't get it with minimum wage. In 1980, you could get it and still have half your wage left over every month to play with. I'm so sorry I'm missing anybody's comments that wanted me to see them. Yes, stocks raise inflation. For example, your Uber ride used to be cheap, but now it's expensive. Uber specifically tells its investors it's reducing driver incentives to increase profits, Dutch said. That is a very good point. And I have a lot. Oh my gosh, Dutch. I have done DoorDash, Instacart, those companies, like they really do. Like, yeah, be careful if you do start a gig job like that. And the same thing happened with Airbnb. They'll use like all this funding at first too to bring prices down, drive out competitors, drive all the competitors out of the market for the good first few, maybe even several years. And then now Airbnbs are just as expensive as hotels. Remember when they used to be cheaper than hotels and they got us all, you know, I've never rented an Airbnb. I don't know why I'm talking like that. We didn't look into it until it was like more expensive than a hotel. Money printing, government spending, and immigrants are causing huge cost of living increasing, Eagle One said. The lack of housing is really throwing a wrench in the mix. I know a lot of people are like sitting around waiting for the housing market to collapse, but it's just, in my opinion, it's not going to have that same bubble burst until and unless like half of our population don't have jobs and foreclose on their houses because the lack of housing, just the simple lack of housing is so bad. And that's another reason they can drive up the cost because of the supply and demand. A lot of people end up homeless for that very reason. They're not built for greed. Noah, amen. Can I pin that too? Jesus makes me think I should have zigged when I zagged. Remember when oh my gosh, Neon, remember when a man could afford to take care of a secret family in the next Childcare is hard. Good on you. It's 10:14 at night here, if you're asking me, Kasra. Yeah, we had to call the Casey County Sheriff's Office to help my wife with this landlord. Glad the sheriff office knows us and that the landlord put my whole family in a bad spot for sure, Mr. Carey said. I'm so sorry to hear that, Mr. Carey. You know, Native Americans believe that like you shouldn't be able to own land and property. And like, of course, we wouldn't have been able to elevate our lives and move where we wanted to if we hadn't owned property. So I'm not trying to be a hypocrite, but I do think that like maybe things would be better if you could only own but then who would own the rentals? Because there has to be rentals. But you can only own one property. You're not allowed to like have 70 properties. It's like the people that take on too much or they just don't care. You know, I know there are some good landlords out there and I have no idea what this one situation is, but it's like it's just a little too easy for people to invest in real estate and you know, and they try to point the finger at the market. Oh, we're just raising the rental. It's the market. It's the market. It's the market. No, they don't have to do that. No, they don't. They don't have to make it harder on all of us. What would you say to someone who tells you that you just got spending problem when they equate that with the reason you can't afford anything? Fendi said. That's really tough, Fendi, because I know a lot of people, that's why I brought that attitude of like, just work harder, just spend less on coffee. It's like, you need to look at these statistics. If they're not willing to watch a video like this isn't the best one out there. If they're not willing to sit down and like look at the numbers and the statistics and the obvious wage stagnation, how everything has increased 24 to 50% in just 5 years of our life. And it's like, I don't think that they can be explained to. I think that so many people, the cognitive dissonance with them is real. Like they can't accept what is really going on around them because it would be too hard for them to bear. And it's like a coping mechanism. I don't know. And I'm not trying to make it seem like they're like saints, like, oh, I feel so bad, I can't help, so I'm gonna like just ignore all of it. I don't know. I think a lot of us were raised by a lot of narcissistic people after World War II. They were all so happy, and like the boomers that they raised were so narcissistic, in my opinion. A lot of you boomers are so narcissistic, and you can't seem to, like I said, like and I know 1968 isn't really boomer, but the average median home buyer in 2007 was born in 1968. And in 2064, the median home buyer's age was still somebody born in 1968. And they're the people that are often pointing the finger at us the most. That's been my experience, right? It's around the 1968, the people that are now like in their 50s. Why don't you have more money? I'm 38 and I've seen the way wages have stagnated in the fields I've worked in, like the restaurant and hospitality industries. I don't see like this attitude of like, oh, some jobs are just for kids. They're just flipping burgers. Like that's just for kids and college kids. No, we need to get rid of that mentality. No, anybody that works 40 hours should be able to live. And like, we can't, oh my gosh. Okay, I need to read some comments and then get onto the host bodies thing. Yeah, I was going to say to try to read the new ones first because you eventually won't be able to read all of them. I'm so sorry, Jonathan. Elijah, start legislation against car insurance companies, against insurance companies altogether. Yes. What we're experiencing is stagflation, King James said. Inflation and no one's working for minimum wage, LOL. Like, nobody can. Minimum wage. Okay, so Elijah, I don't know if you were here earlier, and I don't know if you're still here. You used to be able to afford life on minimum wage. In short, yes. In 1980, one could work a minimum wage job, have a rental, and have 50% of their income left over. Now, for somebody to have that same rental comparatively and still have 50% of their income, they have to make $24 an hour. When our minimum wage is what, almost a fourth of that? Like that's these things. Like I'm not, this is what I said earlier. Sometimes you have to explain the same thing 10 ways to get somebody to understand it, myself included. I can be a really slow learner when it comes to some things, guys. So like, I do not mean that as an insult towards anybody, but like the more you look into it, the more videos you watch, statistics you see, it is undeniable. This is unsustainable and it's not all our fault. And if we continue, like we're all going to be without homes at a certain point. And you just get penalized even more for being behind on bills. You just get all the late fees when you're behind. I hate to say this, it makes me feel bad. When you own a house, you can be late. You have a 2-week grace period on your mortgage payment. You don't have any grace when you rent. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. And like they're siphoning so much off of people, but giving them no grace. You can be a month or two, almost 3 months behind before they start knocking on your door. I mean, of course they're going to be calling you a weekly, but like I'm saying, they're not going to really do much. And I'm not giving any advice. I'm just saying like it's not right. It's not fair. Okay. Can you maybe help me? I am so sad. It's almost a year since I lost my kids and girlfriend in a car accident. I'm really sorry to hear that, Martin. Mr. Carey, the landlord kept my boys' beds, changed locks, despite the sheriff telling that the landlord couldn't do that. It was because their car broke. Had to get air beds for the boys, and you're sleeping on couch cushions. Girl, English is my first language, and I still keep up with what you're saying. Are you saying English isn't your first language? Yeah, I had bad veneers, temporary veneers put on my teeth. I have like yellow ring lights on. I don't know, man. But ever since I started using the yellow setting, it's like my teeth really aren't white, but like they look yellower in the yellow light. Yeah. And I really don't care. I had a bad dentist give me temporary laminate veneers and charge me for permanent ceramic ones. I literally can't whiten my teeth anymore. And I'm just thankful to have teeth in my skull after everything I've been through with dentists in our country, honestly. You can make fun of anything about my looks all I want. I'm grateful for every day. I've lost friends. Every year of life is a blessing to me. Hey, warrior of love, how are you? If they don't listen to how purchasing power has changed, they don't want to listen. I'm a little tired of wasting my breath. Right? Kimmy, I think in the 50s, the kids were taught never cry. Take it like a man because of being raised after wars and depression. Oh, that is a good point. I shouldn't, and I'm exaggerating a little, overgeneralizing when I'm calling them like narcissists and stuff. I'm sure they went through a lot because of the war, right? That I'm not taking into consideration. But I just feel like a lot of them really they don't get it because they're profiting so much off of the current system. Once again, the average home buyer, they were born in 1968 and 2007. In 2024, the average home buyer's age is still, they were born in 1968. It's the same people buying homes, you guys. Hello, I am an Indian man. Oh, you're looking for a woman. Mr. Meaner said, yes, you have a grace period on rent. We never had a grace period on rent. Warrior, I called my neighbor's kids a tool because they really think they got a spot on the yacht. They shortchanged on you. Oh, hey, Frosty, how are you? Um, Vanessa, right? I don't have the answer, but I think heading in the right direction is voting with your dollar. And that's really hard when you're just surviving, living as self-sustainably as possible. I watch this YouTuber raising wildflowers, and she lives in Thailand right now, and she's made some really good videos talking about how they're just so much different. And other like Thailand, they use every bit of space to grow food. They're not like is that more acceptable? They're so much smarter with growing fresh food. Even in a city, they grow vertically. Everywhere you look, people are growing food there. Um, no, you don't have grace period with this landlord. She cussed the sheriff on the phone, so he had to help my wife. We don't have a car or money to sue the landlord. And they know that. They know when you don't have lawyer money, right? And they take advantage. Hi, Thomas. Hi, Kiki. Thank Capsitan. West, ancient Rome had major problems. Aristocracy, I can pronounce that word. Monopolies and wealth disparity, and it fell because massive amounts of the population fled the empire. Yes, I also think it might have. I've heard that like supposedly there was lead in the aqueducts, and I think that's also very interesting. I wouldn't doubt if that played into part of. Oh, I'm curious. I don't think anything's necessarily wrong with my looks. It's just trolls. I know I shouldn't feed the trolls. Okay. Oh yeah, they just moved a couple weeks ago. Jesus said. Um, Thank you, King James. So let's talk about how I didn't write down the name of this person because frankly I don't care, but there was a Republican on Fox News that called women host bodies. Yeah, I'm realizing like why I did this in the first place. And this wasn't the first time this has happened. I guess in like the year 2017, another Republican woman had also used the same term. And I think that's freaking hilarious. It's the same people who moaned and bitched for years about people not being able to define what a woman is. And once again, I'm a centrist. Like, I do get it. We need to be able to say a woman is an adult human female. That's what a woman is. Legally, we need to be able to define human beings. Okay. So I get where people are coming from to a certain extent, but you don't have to be cruel. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to dehumanize people, whatever their life choices are. And I think that's really interesting. They're going around calling women host bodies now, and it really plays into a lot of the things that are going on. I myself, I'll admit it, I was wrong. I laughed at people who thought that they were going to mess even more with a woman's right as far as like birth control and things like that. I thought that those women were silly right before Trump had came into office, but was already officially elected, and women were saying like don't use the period tracking apps and stuff. I made fun of that and I was wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong. Not everybody like everybody's wrong sometimes, right? And it's like obvious that with the plummeting birth rates that they're addressing now, like this is what's going to play into it. This is how they can do things like with Adriana Smith, a young woman in Georgia who was 30 years old, had a brain clot, and was kept on life support for months so her baby could hopefully come to term, but they ended up taking him very much earlier. Hey, Jake, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. How are you doing? I agree. We don't have to do something. They do it all on their own, Justin said. Hi, medias. So I'm just talking about how Republican called women host bodies, how dehumanizing that is, and in my opinion, the not being able to define a woman, and I don't want to say anything that's gonna. Oh my goodness gracious! Anyways, I'm sorry. I don't want to get into that. I was going to start talking about. I have a really good video that I made on the difference between female and male brains because a lot of people say there is a difference, but if there was a really big difference you could look at a brain scan and see, then we would be able to diagnose people as a person that was born in the wrong body. You follow my gist? And it's like I feel like I can't unprivate that video because like it's just like not politically correct to say there are differences and variations in female and male brains, but there's no like literal this is definitely a male brain. This is definitely a female brain. They vary in different ways and like from person to person too at that. On average, male brains tend to be larger in volume, just like bigger altogether. There's like, some, oh, and on average, like women might tend to have more neurons in a certain spot. And like, but anyways, there's no defining the female or male brain. So there's no saying that somebody has the wrong brain in their body, is what I'm trying to say. So getting back to the host body thing, they go on to say the child, the life, like the life is the child and the woman. The woman is the host body, but the child is the life. This is like where I can't agree with my conservative brothers and sisters at all. And that kind of attitude is why people are like, you only care about the baby until after they're born, and then you don't care about them and their well-being anymore. Women have a significantly higher developed hypothalamus, Miss Mabel said. Oh, that's really Miss Mabel Bassett. Is that a Basset hound? How sweet. Hi, Solomon. So, I feel like we're going in the opposite direction of what we should be. If we honored the divine feminine and the life giving force that it is, we could be on the right track. It's literally going in the opposite direction of that, though. I feel like when you ignore that, you don't want to acknowledge the miracle that like it really is a true miracle when a woman's pregnancy comes to term and that baby is born generally healthy with all of the things that could go wrong during a pregnancy and the formation of a baby in utero. It is nothing short of a miracle when that takes place. And we need to honor that. And like birth rates are plummeting. All they care about is their worker bees being able to work for them and make significantly less money while they make more, more, more. Okay. So, oh, beautiful. So I was just thinking about, I didn't want to like mention a certain group of people because like I have somebody in my life that I'm really close to who transitioned, and I don't ever want to come off as hating on that group. I sincerely don't. I love everybody. I don't think anybody should go through life feeling bad about themselves. I just feel like they're taken advantage of by a lot of bad doctors and the things going on in that community when it comes to healthcare and like just basically being experimented on really get to me. It is a tough subject I shouldn't go near, honestly. You got some bottled water, Carrie? That's good. So I want to talk real quickly about a Titus video. I watched this charcoal poultice video where Titus Morris gets out a pocket knife and starts cutting into his finger. He's got a wound on his finger and he starts cutting. Have you guys ever seen somebody on YouTube take a blade and just like cut into themselves? He has something wrong with him, in my opinion. Allegedly, he is such an exhibitionist in every way. Didn't even say, like, perhaps I missed it because I was so perturbed. He didn't even say anything about sterilizing this pocket knife. He just whips out this knife. I need to open this wound up to put this charcoal poultice on it. And it's like, you didn't even say, oh my God, you should show people what you did to sterilize that knife blade. That's what a responsible person would do. Look, hold this over fire for 60 seconds or something, right? Like, put this in boiling water and rubbing alcohol on it or something. And that's another thing. Anybody knows how like you can't get the higher percentage of rubbing alcohol and peroxide? It's weird. It's like everything's gone downhill. Even our like rubbing alcohol is 70%. Didn't it used to be 90? And that's just another example of egregiously bad advice that people would watch that video, do the exact same thing because that's exactly what he did, and they're looking up to him, and it's horrible. It's just like the house of hell. I'm gonna get out my dirty, maybe pocket knife. And once again, if he did sterilize that, he did not show it on camera. He should have made it clear to people if you're going to go digging in a wound that has a pocket of pus already, you're going to add more bacteria from your pocket knife into that. He is crazy. In my opinion, Titus Morris is certifiably crazy. And nobody should listen to health advice from him. It might be fun and entertaining. Just take it as entertainment. all of that health advice, like, it's, like, minimal at best. Okay, "You're such a beautiful human being, beautiful soul," said, "Oh, you're so sweet, thank you. Maybe don't stab yourself." Hi, Predator, how are you? Um, okay. I think what about if I end this now and come back? Is that okay with you guys? I think I wanna take a quick break. If you're getting advice from YouTubers or anything like that in your actual life, you probably need medical attention because there's something seriously wrong with your thinking, right? Yes. Yes. Hey, there is a health crisis going on. I'm from Kentucky, the state that I live in now. I don't know why you wanna see my ponytail, but I don't have a ponytail. I have my hair up in a claw clip. This is my arthritic condition. I couldn't do my hair for you guys. I wanted to. Please don't ever come back. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, but we live in South Central Kentucky right now. I'd like to take a quick break and get on here in about 10 to 15 minutes. Yes, the bluegrass state. So I'd appreciate any likes, shares. Um, you get good advice from YouTubers, you just need discernment. Right. I mean, medical advice is something you should always like really be so careful. Anything that pertains to your body, anything you put in or around your body is so important. You only get one. I had a skin infection after my recent surgery. Skin infections are no joke, and they can lead to sepsis and KILLU. So, like, I mean, like him digging around in an already infected if he was so great and healthy, why is that infected? If I had he was like a saw accident. If I had this gash in my finger, it wouldn't even get to the point where it's infected because I would have been putting the activated charcoal on it to begin with. You know what I mean? But that's just me. That's just my opinion. I'm proud of the fact that we've raised 3 kids. The last 2 kids have like, and okay, maybe I shouldn't say that. I was going to say like I think my youngest has had antibiotics once, and my middle son has had antibiotics twice. Like, if you preemptively treat symptoms, if don't just sit and wait. That's not because we just, like, sat and didn't take them to the doctor. It's because I was very serious about all the symptoms that they had as soon as they started showing them, you know what I mean? And that's what, like, more people need to do, and, like, I know kids get sick a lot. Okay, I am in Kentucky. Definitely not medical advice from YouTube. Well, you guys, I really do want to come back on here. Okay. So I hope I see you soon. And I understand if you can't, Mr. Carey, but I'm still going to promote your Cash App. And I'm going to, I mean, I hope that I have you in here so I can pin it, or else I will ask somebody else to write it down and then pin it. Your brother has 11 kids. That's amazing, King James. You just need to deworm them every 6 months. Well, yeah, deworming. Oh my goodness. Deworming is a constant thing around here with our pups. Okay, guys. Gonna sign off of here. I'd like to leave this at an hour and have this like for these topics. I'm gonna sign back on and we're gonna have a really fun just talking live. Okay. I love you all. Bye.